Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we are going to continue with our study of Paper 14, the Central and Divine Universe, and we're in Section 4, Paragraph 11. And let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight that we might study your wonderful revelation. Thank you for all these people that come and listen to us. We thank you for those at home that listen to us also, that we all might learn something and be prepared better for the mansion worlds and be prepared to meet you in some future day. We thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for our many blessings. We say this in the name of your son, Michael, and our local universe mother spirit. In Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
And amen.
Amen.
Okay. Start out here with 411. And Diane, would you like to start us out tonight?
The natives of Havona live on the billion spheres of the central universe in the same sense that other orders of permanent citizenship dwell on the respective spheres of nativity. As the material order of sonship carries on the material, intellectual, and spiritual economy of a billion local systems and a super universe, so in a larger sense do the Havona natives live and function on the billion worlds of the central universe. You might possibly regard these Havoners as material creatures in the sense that the word material could be expanded to describe the physical realities of the divine universe.
Okay, I want to make a point that I didn't make last week about this concept of the material beings of Havona. And y'all probably remember, let me move over the picture just a second. Y'all probably remembered this list of the types of beings that dwell in Havona. You remember this? And one of them is material, morontial, spiritual, absonite, ultimate, co-absolute, and universal. The one they're talking about here is the very first one, the material. And each one of these has breakdowns of divisions, minor divisions, and major divisions. Okay. So the material beings they are talking about here are material beings that are native to Havona itself. They're not talking about ascenders, are they?
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that's clear. When we get to be ascenders in Havona, we will be what? Spiritual beings,
Spiritual.
right? So we will no longer be considered material beings, right? But when we get to Havona, there will be material type beings, but they will be made out of the threefold type of material that in the divine universe, right? Instead of a twofold. You know, we're made of a twofold type of material. They will be made of a threefold type of material. So I didn't want to lose out on the fact that there are actual material beings in Havona, just like there are in the super universe. The only difference is they're a threefold nature instead of twofold. Okay. The other thing, we are twofold nature that are reproducing beings, right? We have parents and we can reproduce and we can have children. These beings in Havona cannot. Okay. They are created perfect. They created all of them at the same time or eventuated them, whatever they did, the Trinity. And when they came into being, that's all of them. And that's all there ever will be, as far as we know, unless they make a decision to make more, right?
What is that called again? Is that triada? Is it? You remember?
Triada, right? They're made out of triada system, right? Threefold of nature, because they come from God the Father, God the Son, and God the Spirit.
Right.
And we are twofold because we come from a creator son and a creative local mother son, right? Okay. And that's the big difference. But I wanted to make sure that's clear. And I didn't want to get off of this types of the 7 forms of living beings on Havona without y'all understanding that these are all the types of beings that live in Havona, but we will be in category 3 we get there, right? Spiritual,
Mhm.
right? We will no longer be in category 1. All right.
Oh. Interesting.
Everybody clear on that?
Yeah.
All right, Mike, would you like to take the next one? 12.
There is life. Yeah. There is a life that is native to Havona and possesses significance in and of itself. Havoners minister in many ways to paradise descenders and to super universe ascenders, but they always live lives that are unique in the central universe and have relative meaning quite apart from either the paradise or the super universes.
Okay, notice here it talks about the Havoners minister in two different types of beings, both the paradise descenders, all right. Who would be a paradise descender? That would be somebody like a creator, right? He's
Right.
a descender, all right.
They're coming down.
And then we have the super universe ascenders, and that would include, right, because we're ascending to God rather than descending. Now, remember that the local universes have quite a few descending sons, don't they? They have the Adam and Eve, right? They have the Melchizedek, they have the Lananondex, they have the Barandadex. These are all descending sons, including that includes the life implanters, right?
The life carrier.
Life carriers. Those are considered descending sons. Now, the interesting part is this. Sometime in the future, some of these groups will become what? Ascending sons.
So, Roger,
Especially the Adams and Eves. Right. Yeah, Rodney.
but those type of descending sons are created in a particular universe.
Local universes. That's right.
They don't come down
they're
from
not,
paradise.
yeah, they're not paradise descenders. I want to make sure that's clear too. Right? These are descenders from the local universe. Now, the paradise descenders do not do what? They go into the local universe. Okay? They only descend from like the first circuit down through the seventh circuit. They can also ascend from the seventh circuit to the first circuit and even into paradise. Okay? Even though they're considered paradise citizens already. But they're considered descenders. They go through a process from the first circuit out to the seventh circuit, all right, or out to any circuit less than the first circuit. Okay, so there's two types of beings we're talking about. The Havona ministering to the descenders and the ascenders. But all the paradise descenders are local or central universe beings that will never descend into the seven super universes, or as far as we know, they will never descend into the outer space levels. Okay?
But they will go from the first circuit to the seventh circuit back up. In other words, they move. Okay. I didn't
from
know.
circuit to circuit. Yeah. Yeah. Now, you got to keep in mind that in the central universe, time is right?
You cut out. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, that's because I raised my arms again. In the super universe or the central universe, time is of no essence. So it doesn't matter how long it takes these beings to descend or ascend, right? Because time is of no relevance to them, right?
Right.
Okay, but we need to know that they can do that. That's how they move the circuit. You know, it's not like they're all on seven circuits and they can just buzz around to any circuit they want to go to. You know, if they don't have a purpose, they would not do that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, they got to.
Now, you know, why do you think that is? I mean, think about this for a second. You got 1 billion worlds, and if you had half the population of Havona buzzing around to the other planets, you can end up with planets that were what?
Overpopulated.
Overpopulated or barren, right?
Yeah.
So they have to have purpose to move like that.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about.
It's, you know, God, the universal Father, everything he does is purposeful. I mean,
That's right.
It's not just any happenstance, whatever, you know, like us. I mean, there is
Right.
purpose to everything that he does in his creation.
Yep. That's right. That's right. Okay, Rodney, would you take the next one?
Okay. 13.
13. Right.
As the worship of the fate sons of the evolutionary worlds minister to the satisfaction of the universal Father's love, so the exalted adoration of the Havona creatures satiates the perfect ideals of divine beauty and truth. As a mortal man strives to do the will of God, these beings of the central universe live to gratify the ideals of the Paradise Trinity. In their very nature, they are the will of God. Man rejoices in the goodness of God. Havoners exult in the divine beauty, while you both enjoy the ministry of the liberty of living truth.
Okay, so in the way that they worship or adore God is different than those ascending up through the universe. That's the point they're making. Okay, so what they're saying here is the Havona creature satiates the ideals of divine truth, beauty, beauty and truth, right? Good, probably too. So this satiates God's love in these things because he already created these beings perfect, right? But his love created us in a different way. Okay, so when we worship God, it satiates God in a different way. It satiates God in love. And that's the difference. So when we worship God, God feels satiated in the fact that his love is returned to him. That is not necessary in the Havoners because they're created doing the will of God. We have learned to do the will of God. They didn't have to. Right? They are the will. That's what they say here, right? They are the very nature of the will of God.
I think back to what Rodney said, maybe it was last week or one of the previous meetings about, you know, what do they do? You know, I think you made a comment about them being bored, Rodney. Remember that? I think that gives us a pretty good, that answers what they're doing.
Yeah, that answers what they're doing.
I remember very well.
Right. All right. Jane, would you take the next one and those three little things too?
Havoners have both optional present and future unrevealed destinies, and there is a progression of native creatures that is peculiar to the central universe, a progression that involves neither ascent to paradise nor penetration of the super-universes. This progression to higher Havona status may be suggested as follows. 1. Experiential progress outward from the first to the seventh circuit. 2. Progress inward from the seventh to the first circuit. 3. Intra-circuit progression between the worlds of a given circuit.
There it is. They go in, they go out, or they go within the same circuit, right? It's interesting here that they talk about this as a optional present and future unrevealed destiny, right? So they don't have to do anything.
Key word, optional.
Okay, it's optional for them to do this. So if they choose to progress inward or they choose to progress outward, it's totally up to them. It's a free will type thing, right? Just like our free will to make the ascension. Nothing is forced. All right. Let's see. Leitch, would you take the next?
Okay. In addition to the Havona natives, the inhabitants of the central universe embrace numerous classes of pattern beings from various universe groups, advisors, directors, and teachers of their kind and to their kind throughout creation. All beings in all universes are fashioned along the lines of some one order of pattern creature living on some one of the building worlds of Havona. Even the mortals of time have their goal and ideals of creature existence on the outer circuits of these pattern spheres on high.
Okay, so there are patterns of beings for every type of being in all creation. Okay, and these patterns of beings or creatures live in Havona. And so the creator sons take these patterns, and that's what they use to create their local universe beings. Okay. Now, why is this unusual for us? Because we're what's called an experimental planet. Okay. So every 10th planet that the creator sons create, they have leeway. Well, at least the creative process has leeway to make beings that are a little different. Okay. But even though we're a little different, obviously there may be some type of pattern being in Havona that we come from. Okay. So when we get to Havona, we're going to find beings that are just like us.
Very nice.
All there is to it. Okay. But you have to remember that in all the creation, all 7 super universe, somewhere in Havona, there are these patterns that they go by. Okay. And with y'all's permission, I want to read y'all something that I found in this book today that I have not seen before. I don't know where she got this, but it's interesting. Okay. This is the 7 rings of Havona, the number count of the world. I told you 35 million worlds was the inner circle, right? The one called the paradise.
What page are you on?
This is on page 8 of the study aids of the Urantia Book.
8?
Okay, 8. Of the study aids of the Urantia Book. Let me show it to everybody here. I can't see the picture. It's in this one right here. All right.
Yeah, I get you.
And I found this interesting because it has a breakdown on page 8 in small type down at the bottom of the circles down there of the number count of the worlds. Now they state in the book, I found this easily, 250 million worlds on the outer circuit of Havona. You see that?
No, it's very small.
Yeah, it's very small.
Yeah.
35,714,286 worlds on the inner circuit. Okay. The second circuit has 71,428,571. Now, what I found interesting about this is on that video I sent out to everybody the other day from, I think it was, is it Gary Tong's video?
Yes.
On the
Yes.
Ascension.
Yeah.
He had these exact numbers also. Now, where they got these, I'm not sure because I've been looking them up and I can't see them.
I looked all over the book. Can I ask again what page? I cannot find
Page
that.
8.
8?
8. Yeah, 8.
It ain't on here. I don't have it on here. That must be a newer, information.
On the study aids of the Urantia Book, Mike, not the other one.
Oh, shit, I'm the wrong one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't let me. My mistake.
Now, on the third circuit, now we know
Yeah,
that there's a billion worlds in Havona, right? What's interesting is these adds up. These numbers add up to a billion worlds. Okay. Now, how they got this breakdown, I am not sure. Maybe it's a mathematical calculation. They came up with this because we know that 250,000 billion worlds on the outer circuit, and we knew that there were at least 35. I'm saying million. I mean, I said billion. I meant million worlds on the inner circuit, right? So the second circuit, she has 1,428,571. On the third circuit, 107,142,852. On the the fourth circuit, 142,857 and some change. And then the sixth circuit, I skipped over the fifth. The fifth is 178 million, and the sixth is 214 million. Now, what I find interesting about this is I can find the 35 million and I can find the 250 million, but I can't find the other numbers anywhere. So that's what I wanted to bring up with y'all, because you know how I am. If it's not in the book, I don't believe it. It's just because of the channeling stuff that's out there. They come up with all sorts of stuff. But I thought this was an interesting calculation because someone has taken the time to do some kind of mathematical variation on this to figure this out. They took the percentage of how much would be in each and every universe and came up with it. I find it real interesting. And that's one of the many things you're going to find in this book. She's done just she really has. Thought I'd share that with you. And that's the 7 circuits of Havona that we've been studying.
I knew I saw this.
So wanted to bring that up. When I find these little tidbits of information, I always like to share. Okay.
Yeah. Where can you order that book?
Huh?
Where can you order that book?
You can order it on Amazon, Letch.
Okay.
If you go to Amazon and just type in Hara Davis, HARADAIS, it will show you the books that she has on Amazon. And both of these were just $15. They're not expensive. You know, so you can order, like Ed said, all 3 of them for less than $45 or a little bit more. So which is a deal.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Let's move on to the next one. Ed, would you take the next paragraph, please?
Here we go. In addition to the Havona natives, the inhabitants of the central universe embrace numerous classes of pattern beings.
I think that's the one we just read, wasn't it?
Is that the one? Okay.
Yeah, we just read that.
Then,
the next one down.
Number 19.
Number 19.
Then there are those beings who have attained the universal Father. Wait a minute. Then there are those who have attained the universal Father and who are entitled to go and come, who are assigned here and there in the universe, in the universes on missions of special service. And on every Havona world will be found the attainment candidates, those who have physically attained the central universe, but who have not yet achieved that spiritual development that will enable them to claim paradise residence.
Okay, and they're talking about us in this paragraph, aren't they? Because these are beings who have attained the universal Father. These are ascenders, right? Something I want to mention in the previous paragraph that I started to read too is these classes of pattern beings include advisors, directors, and teachers of all kinds, right? So the patterns for all the teachers that are made and developed in each local universe are patterns for those advisors, directors, and teachers on Havona also, right? So all of us have some kind of pattern. Now, the next paragraph, it's interesting that it talks about those who have attained you see that? And are entitled to come and go. At that point, you're entitled to come and go on your own volition. You don't need to transport seraphim any longer to move about. You do that on your own, okay? Which must be pretty special, okay? But it goes on to tell us that on every Havona world we'll find attainment candidates. Who are those? Those are people like us that are going through the process trying to get to the Universal Father, okay? And you will find those on every single planet going up through the universe or through Havona. Many beings that have not yet developed themselves enough to claim paradise residence. Okay, so we won't feel discouraged when we get there because there'll be billions of people just like us, or beings just like us, that are learning to become more and more spiritual and trying to develop ourselves to the point where we also become paradise residents. Okay, because we know this is a long, long process, and you could get pretty discouraged pretty fast after about 1 billion years working on it, couldn't you?
Maybe a little bit.
Just about.
Roger, would you say that these ascenders that have reached the Universal Father,
Right.
First Circuit, that they will become advisors, directors, and teachers themselves in I guess maybe the outer space levels, or they go back to the super universe?
Because everybody assumes that the corporate finality, job of the corporate finality will be the outer space level, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, what do you think we're going to be? We're going to be teachers, right? We're going to be advisors. We're going to be directors of things, that sort of thing. We'll be really much like, I hate to use association, but will be a lot like the order of days, if you think about it. Because the order of days only offer advice when they're asked, right?
Mm.
The representation of the Paradise Trinity. So as when we attain the Father, when we become annaliters, we have a certain amount of expertise in what we say because we've been there, experience. That is a lot. So we will be able to move with the authority, but we will not be able to put information onto these new beings. We will only be able to do that when they ask us. Right?
Is that me, or is I just can't hear what he's saying? Is it? I really,
Yeah, I'm having a hard time.
It's my earphone again, probably.
why don't we try? Well, what if we just, and that worked before, is everybody mute and see if that doesn't, maybe that'll clear
I
it
tell you what, let me go off of this speaker and use the speaker on computer, see if that works better. Okay.
That'll work. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me better?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Much better.
Much better?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
difficult to tell,
Okay,
but
maybe
I
it's the
think it's
interference.
better.
Okay. I'm gonna still have to get a different one that does not use Bluetooth. Yeah, more likely. Okay, so y'all can hear me okay now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So let's see, when Diane gets ready to speak again, she's next up to read, so I will mute while she reads.
The infinite spirit is represented on the Havona worlds by a host of personalities, beings of grace and glory, who administer the details of the intricate intellectual and spiritual affairs of the central universe. On these worlds of divine perfection, they perform the work indigenous to the normal conduct of the vast creation, and in addition carry on the manifold task of teaching, training, and ministering to the enormous numbers of ascendant creatures who have climbed to glory from the dark worlds of space.
Okay, they have climbed to glory from the dark worlds of space. That's us, y'all. We're on the dark world of space, like it or not, right? But notice it says here the infinite spirit. These are ministering type spirits, just like the angels, right? Okay. And these they not only minister to us, they also administer the details of the intellectual and spiritual affairs of the central universe. So they're managers also. They're not just ministering just to Ascender. They do a lot of other things. That's part of that 99% of stuff that they don't even tell us. Okay. So we want to keep that, and they are under the infinite spirit. All right. Rodney, I believe you're next. Rodney, you had your hand up too. I didn't even see that. No.
Oh, is it still up?
Yeah.
Sorry. I was just going to tell you were breaking in and out so badly, I couldn't understand what you were saying.
Okay, is it better now?
Oh, yeah, it's better now.
Yeah, much better. Okay. Yeah, y'all interrupt me if that happens. You know, I don't want to sit here and talk if it's nobody's hearing anything I say.
Well, yeah,
then
we're trying
Diane will have
learn.
to listen to it. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Okay, 421.
Right.
There are numerous groups of beings native to the Paradise Havona system that are in no way directly associated with the ascension scheme of creature perfection attainment. Therefore, are they omitted from the personality classifications presented to the mortal races? Only the major groups of superhuman beings and those orders directly connected with your survival experience are herein presented.
Okay, so they're telling us the only one they're telling us about are the ones that are connected to our survival, right? Our training. And there's just tons and tons of other ones that they don't tell us anything about because they're not of our purview and it's not important to us, right?
That's what I love about this book. They say this. They say, you don't need to know this. This has got nothing to do with you. You know, we'll tell you everything you need to know. This is something you don't need to know, and maybe someday you'll get it on a need to know basis.
Need to know basis. That's right.
We ain't gonna tell you.
When you need to know, we'll let you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. All right. Jane, would you take the next? Turn your mic back on first, Jane. Yep.
Thank you. That's a good idea.
Yeah. You'll sound like me, Jane.
Havona teams with the life of all phases of intelligent beings, who there seek to advance from lower to higher circuits in their efforts to attain higher levels of divinity, realization, and enlarged appreciation of supreme meanings, ultimate values, and absolute reality.
So there's a lot of other beings in there that are learning and progressing besides just us, right?
So, Roger.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you think it could be that we would get to Havona and we just get stuck there? We can't go any further.
Well, if we do, Rodney, that would be a pretty good life, if you think about it.
Maybe we wouldn't want to go any further. I don't know.
I can't imagine going on a journey of, probably 1 billion years and not wanting to get to the goal, finish the goal line,
see what's next.
See what's next. Get to the universal, at least get to the universal father, right? Become a finaliter. I can't imagine not wanting to do that because we have all these influences pulling us in, right? We have the spirit of truth. We have the eternal Son and the infinite Spirit, both pulling us in to meet them and meet the Father. So I can't imagine we'd ever get to the point where we will ignore that pulling sensation from the deities, if you know what I mean. But if we did get to that point, I could think of a worse life, right?
I thought that same thing, Rodney. And I thought, what if I get tired? I mean, or I get satisfied? I think we can probably stay right where we are until we get unsatisfied.
Yeah,
let's say
curious.
we're in the local universe and we're working at the local universe level, and we go, hey, I like it here. This is a good place, blah, blah, blah. And then you're providing service, you're doing this for how much time? I don't know. But it begins to pull us. And I agree with you, Roger. I really think that those circuits, those gravities are pulling us back to paradise. I think we can get off the train anytime we want.
Yeah, well, think about this. The midwayers are stationed on this planet until we reach light and life, right? That could take 1,000,000 years, just that in itself, right? So they're satisfied in being midwayers on this planet until that point. So if they don't get bored with their job, and we do some pretty stupid things, you think about it, this world is really in a mess most of the time. So if they can put up with it that long, we should be able to put up with it at least that long, if not longer, right? So, and then what you think? I don't think we're ever going to get bored, to be honest. So, once we have our spiritual eyes open, and our Urantia eyes open, and I was just reading in that book just this afternoon, the 491 levels of Urantia being. You have 80 in the constellation, I think it is, or 79 or something like that, and 8 in the mansion worlds. You have that many transitions, over 100 600 transitions before it's all said and done, just to get to be spiritual, right? So I don't think we're going to get very bored, to be honest. I could be wrong, but who knows? Right? All right, would you take Life in Havona, the first paragraph?
Okay. Life on the divine worlds of the central universe is so rich and full, so complete and replete, that it wholly...
you skipped a paragraph.
Yeah. Which one?
Yeah. The first one, yeah.
Oh. Am I on 5.1?
5.1, that's right.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
On Urantia, you pass through a short and intense test during your initial life of material existence. On the mansion world and up through your system, constellation, and local universe, you traverse the Urantia phases of ascension. On the training worlds of the super universe, you pass through the true spirit stages of progression and are prepared for eventual transit to Havona. On the 7 circuits of Havona, your attainment is intellectual, spiritual, and experiential, and there is a definite task to be achieved on each of the worlds of each of these circuits.
Okay, I think it would be safe to say that we have definite tasks on the mansion worlds, don't we, to learn. We the mansion world. We also have definite tasks in the system level, and we have definite tasks in the constellation levels. That's why you have to hit every one of these planets. Okay? Makes sense? And the same thing with the local universe. So before you even become a first stage spirit, you have to traverse all the Urantia phases of ascension, every single one of them, right? You don't skip over any of them. Even if you skip over the mansion worlds, you have to go back and serve on those mansion worlds that you skip over. Remember that? We've read that before. All right. So you don't get out of anything. So in each one, you prepare for a different thing. And eventually when you get to Havona, your attainment is a intellectual, a spiritual, and an experiential experience. All three. And it says here there are definite tasks to be achieved on each of these worlds, on each of the circuits. And we're talking about 1 billion worlds. So what do we have to look forward to? 1 billion tasks to do. So if you multitask, you're in business, baby. I mean to tell you.
You know, honey, I have a question too. It
Yeah.
seems like, you know, when we come into this world, we have a gift or a direction in a career or in our lives of who we really are. If we're more inclined musically, you know,
Right.
so when we go on to when we travel on to these different locations to grow, do we still I mean, we can't learn every single thing about everything. I mean, aren't we individuals?
Why can't we?
Well, we could, but we're individuals. I mean, if I'm not
Mhm.
interested in the star,
Cosmology?
yeah,
Yeah.
cosmology, which I'm really not,
Yeah.
you know, truthfully, but I'm interested in music. That's what I love. That's my
Mhm.
life.
That's
Um,
what you do,
then do I have to veer off from that? Can I continue?
No, you
I
can
mean,
you can go along the pathway and go in the pathway of your interest. That's what free will's about, right? So no one's going to force you to become a cosmologist for 1,000 years, right? But if you decide you want to become a cosmologist, you have to commit to 1,000 years training to be a cosmologist.
okay,
Okay,
it has to be 1,000 years.
it has to be 1,000 years. It's a full millennium. You know, so if you want to find out about all the stars, you got to commit to it for 1,000 years, right? But the interesting part is we're all unique. So the things that interest one person is not going to interest another. So you pick and choose. You know, even when you get to the mansion worlds, it's funny. They talk about when you get to the first mansion world, your guardian angels and other beings advise you. Still hear me? I think I just knocked it out of my head. Uh, these beings advise you on which pathway you want to go through the mansion world. Okay. So it starts at the very beginning. You can choose your path most interest to go. And that's going to be different for every single individual.
You know, and I think, and it's my understanding, I could be wrong, that as we move, we're going to eventually gravitate to groups because there's going to come a time when we're going to graduate as part of a group.
Yeah.
And that group could be exactly what you're talking about, Diane. It may be someone some tremendous love for music that will be their service will be
right
for that aspect. You still got to learn all the stuff, but it's not to the point that you know that you'll be able to follow your heart's desire or your you know your destiny, I guess.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
I
think of it this way. There's 7 notes on the scale, right? All right. When you get to the mansion world, it'll be 49 notes. You know, so you're just starting your music education here, right?
Yeah.
So when you get there, you're going to have so much more to learn.
I think so.
You know, and the same thing for the physicists. You know, E equals MC squared is probably going to mean nothing to someone when they get to the mansion world because the formula will change so much. They'll say, "What were you talking about?" You know?
I like what the author said when they look how they call this the life on Earth.
Yeah.
When you pass through a short and intense test, period.
Short and intense test. That's right. It doesn't say that God is testing you. It say this life is a short test. Right?
What a description of life.
Yeah. Short and intense. You got that right. You know, it's kind of funny too, because as we get older, the income seems like it's coming faster and faster at you. You know?
Yeah, right.
Every day, right? I think that's what's going on with my head. It knows I'm getting ready here faster and faster, so it's giving up. You know, it's going away. No, yeah, I'm not hanging around for this. Right? Okay. Let's keep. Let's see who's next. I think Ed is.
Mhm.
Life on the divine world. Whoops. Correct? Okay. Life on the divine worlds of the central universe is so rich and full, so complete and replete, that it wholly transcends the human concept of anything a created being could possibly experience. The social and economic activities of these eternal creation are entirely dissimilar to the occupations of material creatures living in the evolutionary worlds like Urantia. Even the technique of Havona thought is unlike the process of thinking on Urantia.
So I guess I can't be a iron worker in Havona, can I? I can't be a
Havona
blacksmith,
iron.
it looks like, does. So these things that we'll be doing is so rich and so full, so complete and replete, we even have a concept, right? That's what they're telling us. So don't worry about it. We're going to get there and we're going to be so satisfied in what we're learning and what we're doing. We can't even imagine it, right? They don't even know how to tell us. It's so big. All right. This is going to work out pretty good because we can take up the pictures next time. And that way everybody can get their book if they want to before it comes in. All right. Diane, would you take the next one, please? Let me turn. Yep.
The regulations of the central universe are fittingly and inherently natural. The rules of conduct are not arbitrary. In every requirement of Havona, there is disclosed the reason of righteousness and the rule of justice. And these two factors combined equal what on Urantia would be denominated fairness. When you arrive in Havona, you will naturally enjoy doing things the way they should be done. I'm for that.
So it'll be second nature to you, right? When you get there. All right. Let me think here for a second, y'all. This is where all the pictures start, and I believe I want to stop on this right before this first paragraph here, and we'll take this up on next time because this is going to be part of going through all these pictures I have on here, and I want to make it a consistent thing going all the way through it and use the book along with that. So we will take this up 5-4 next time, and we will use Harold Davis's book, the Ascenders Handbook, and going through on page 39. There's the 7 circuits, and we'll go through that at the same time we go through this picture. Okay. So when you get your book, if you order it this week from Amazon, go to page 39. And if you're not going to order it, don't worry. We're going to read them to you as we go, right? And so if you order today, though, you should get it by Saturday because I just ordered another copy for a couple friends today. So I know they'll come by Saturday. Let y'all know. And we'll take this back up on, well, we'll have a meeting Thursday. This is just Tuesday, right? So if you don't get your book, don't worry about it. We're going to read it to you. All you got to do is open your ears, if you got ears.
What's the name of the book again?
Huh?
What's the name of the book again?
The book again. Let me get this over here. Let me stop the share so you can see it. Is the Ascenders Handbook. Can you see that?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And so it looks like that by Hera Davis. All right.
Great. Thank you.
And while you're in there, Letch, order this one too.
Yeah, I'm going to order both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's worth your time spending some time on both of them. if I had this when I first started reading the book, I would be a smart cookie by now.
I found them at, they had a conference in San Antonio in 2016. That's where I found them. That, and I'm going to show you this one just for the sake of it. You may know about it. It's called these guys.
I've got it.
Good.
Entities and personalities.
That son of a gun is, if you want a quick reference as to who they are.
Is that by Hera Davis too?
No, this is the guy's name is the materials by a fellow named Pete DeCamp.
Say that one more time.
Pete, P-E-T-E, DeCamp, D-E-C-A-M-P.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. Well, let's say a little prayer and we'll end the recording at that. Father, thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for this opportunity to do this tonight. Pray that you'll be with all those and all those that listen at home and those that watch us later. We thank you for the opportunity to serve in this way, that we might help one another and serve one another, and that we might spread this wonderful news about this wonderful revelation. We say this in the name of your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
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 Amen.